welcome back to Bourbon Barrel Talk. I'm your host, Scott Minton. Today we are continuing on with our 8 Crazy Nights of Rye, and today's episode is going to be the Mick 10 Rye. Today's episode of Bourbon Barrel Talk is sponsored by Matt Wagner with Oxenus Partners Wealth Management. Matt specializes with strategic, financial, and investment planning. I personally work with Matt over numerous years and appreciate his honest and straightforward approach. He and his team have personally helped me and others I know with all their investing needs. Oxenus currently has 2 locations, one in downtown Jeffersonville, the other in the heart of St. Matthews. For a no-obligation consultation, please call Matt at 502-432-1401. So, fellas, we are back at it with the 8 Crazy Nights of Rye, and today we are trying the old Mick 10 Rye, which is one of my personal favorites. So, what do we think, man? We got Travis with us tonight, Nick, and then DJ Jazzy Jaznoff's in the house. What's up, brother?
What's up?
Yeah, I love it. My first thought is, every day everybody's always talking about high proof, barrel proof, all this stuff nowadays. I mean, I'm more than happy to drink something like this. What is it, 94 proof?
It comes in at 93 proof.
93 proof.
This, just to be specific, though, this is a 2020.
Okay.
So technically last year's edition of the single barrel.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so super good stuff. It's I think it's 160 at the distillery. I think MSRP, so super good.
And I think all the year variations are pretty close to the same proof. I mean, even though they're single barrels, it's still they're all still within a % or 2 of each other from year in year in.
Right, yeah. I don't know.
Consistent.
Did you have a year that you really liked better than another?
From the rye, I can't really recall off the top of my head. I'm not a huge guy that's like, oh yeah, single barrel rye, yeah, woohoo, fantastic. Yeah. But I would have to say some of the better ones I've had are probably that like 15 and 16 M10 ryes. They're pretty fantastic. Whatever they did was special that year.
I always heard 2016 was kind of the good year. That in 2014, somebody had mentioned one time. They said 2014 was pretty good, but I don't recall a 2014 or trying one. So,
and what's unique is so it's a 10-year age dated, but that doesn't mean it's 10 years old. Like there's rumors and I confirmation that there could be 14, 15, 16-year-old
juice in those, yeah.
Juice in the bottle.
Yeah, they're not rumors, and you just stole my next line, so thanks.
Oh,
I got to come up with something now.
Boom.
So let's talk a little bit more about Michters. I feel like, A, they've done some really, really great things, and then, B, I feel like they've also kind of done some things. I don't know that they're necessarily bad things, but I feel like they've really just attacked the secondary market, as far as like how they've priced things to kind of drag things around. Because if I remember correctly, these things were not that expensive 2-3 years ago.
No, I think I agree with you. They were not that expensive 2-3 years ago, but from my opinion, a lot of this is supply and demand. I mean, demand on this has gone up, supply has gone down. You've seen less and less of these released each year, but at the same time, I mean, the secondary market really created its own monster in these distilleries. And so, right, they're pricing themselves out of the secondary market, which is they should do, right? That's lost profits on the table for the distillery. If we want to keep these distilleries around and going, we need to be able to still support them. The fact that the community still supports them at, what I deem to be a 50% price increase over the past 4 years is pretty admirable in my opinion.
Yeah, no one.
That's what you deem it?
Yes.
Admirable. It's not what he deems.
So do you think part of that is because they are fairly newer, so they've revitalized the brand, but they've sourced?
I don't necessarily consider them newer. I mean, I have a bottle of Michters from 1910 out of Pennsylvania, so I don't know if newer is really the right word for that.
But do you think it's like they're with their own juice, or the source barrels, they're running low on that, so the price is going up, or do you think that's directly reflective of the secondary market?
In my opinion, I believe they're running out of sourced barrels. In my honest opinion.
So I will step back and say that, yes, Michter's, the brand, has been around for a long time, but as far as what we know today, it is not new, but newer compared to the early 1900s. I mean, they've been around since, the early 2000s in this form. They are a premium brand, so their pricing is going to reflect that. That is the point. So
and I
think for what it is, for a quality rye this good, at 10 years, maybe 15 years, the price doesn't really trouble me, honestly. It has gone up for sure, but I think it's fair.
I think with the quality too. I mean, if you ever go on that tour, I mean, and they really go after the quality, and some going back to the roots where Michters and everything kind of started. Again, what they're doing, I think, is phenomenal, and I think it's actually one of my favorite ryes. Period. It's my go-to. I kind of hoard a couple of these. So
I think the bottle looks the coolest.
Oh, it absolutely has one of the best bottles. But for this particular event, we wanted to try to kind of pick what we considered some of the best bottles out of every distillery. And for me, this was a really hard one because I really love the Mick 10, but I also love that toasted rye.
What about the 25? Why didn't you just bring that out of your
I've never had
collection?
one. I don't even think I've even touched a Mick 20 or Mick 25, honestly.
So think about all the ryes. They have the standard rye, the cask strength rye, which is incredible, the toasted. What else am I missing?
you get
the
the
25,
10 and
the
then
10.
the 25. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, so they get a lot of great products. And heck, don't shy away. The regular standard Michter's rye is a delicious pour.
It is a great bottle for someone who's rye curious or doesn't like rye. It's going to be a little sweeter, more of a Kentucky rye with the more corn in it. I don't believe they disclose their mash bills, but it's definitely got a good corn content to it. So if you are trying to get somebody into rye whiskey, that's definitely a good one to start them out with.
100%.
Yeah, I was going to say I've never heard a disclosure of any mash bill, so they kind of keep that close to their vest. But based off the sweetness and everything, I could probably say higher corn than most.
Yeah, 50 to 60 rye, something
right.
like that would be my guess.
So as we dive into this bad boy to give a little mini review and kind of talk about it, what's everybody kind of getting on the nose? What's the tasting notes you're getting? Travis is like, I'm already in. I'm ready to go.
It's luxurious, man. I mean, I skipped the nose. I'll go back to it, but I absolutely love this. I'm wondering why I don't own any of these. I had the 2016 a couple nights ago. It's funny you guys brought that up. It tasted to me like had some dusty qualities to it. I see why people are really infatuated with it. This is just rich. It's viscous for the proof. It's got a ton of flavor, a little citrus. I love the oak. It's there. It's sharp, but it's not over oaked. I don't, beyond that, a little kind of like deep kind of sugary sweetness, but I just think it's wonderful. I'm going to have to put one of these in the bunker for sure.
Yeah. It's also kind of, it's not that fruit forward rye that you get on some things. Like this is like the traditional, like good, got a nice little spice to it, nice little warm hug, but just like you said, all those great notes, citrus and caramel and everything else that comes with it. Nick?
Yeah, I just absolutely love it. Not only the color, but again, those slight wood undertones, that sweetness that comes out. Again, I think that's probably because of the mash bill and the amount of corn content. Again, there's a reason why I love this rye. It's one of those. It's I'm a neat pour on this. I wouldn't do anything with this except drink it neat and enjoy it. Super good.
No, 100%. You don't want to add a rock or water or anything to this thing. It's already been proofed down to a perfect number. Well, I guess it's technically barrel strength, right? Are they supposed to be single barrels or single?
I don't know if they're barrel strength.
This is not barrel strength. Now they put it in the barrel at I think 103 proof.
Okay.
So and I have the
probably
highest,
not a ton of movement then.
No, the highest proof I've ever seen on a barrel strength was I think 117, but usually most of them run around that like 109 range. So we're not too far off. But
this wouldn't be their whiskey.
No.
Yeah.
So
right.
I mean, this is 93. So I would not say this is.
So there was speculation there, and I've heard all kinds of rumors, everything from Old Forester to Jim Beam to Early Times and other things to that nature. I mean, all I know is this is delicious.
It's one of those things where it's fun to speculate. We obviously get a kick out of it, but I will say it's the typical. The more you learn, the less you know. Like you might think that 100% that came from one place, and you've never heard of this other place ever selling whiskey to anybody, but they may have sold it to that distillery. So like.
Yep.
It's not, you're never going to figure it out unless you know someone that has seen the barrels. And we know what the rumors are, and they're true for the most part, but that doesn't give you all the answers.
No, 100%.
Yeah, until you see that barrel head.
Correct.
Of where it came from.
So, Matt, what's your opinion on this bad boy?
So I appreciate it for what it is. Like Travis said, it's a great rye. It is. I appreciate, from my perspective, that there's not a lot of spice up front. And that's probably one of the biggest turnoffs for me on ryes in general. Everyone who always talks to me about rye, I will always tell them that I don't drink it straight. I don't drink it at all. I use it for a cocktail, and that's the worst thing. But that's just my opinion.
You do you.
You do you. Everything
That's
was
what rye was for, blending in cocktails.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I can't get that. Like, I love ryes and cocktails, right? Manhattans, Old Fashioned, Sazeracs. You put it in a cocktail, I love it. By itself, not my favorite. M10 Rye, I love it because it's not spicy. Like, I don't get that spice up front. Some of the other ones we're trying in this series, they have a lot of overpowering spice, and it's not my taste, but that's just my take on that.
I mean, rye came out before bourbon. I mean, rye was like the standard, if I recall, and then kind of bourbon was an offshoot.
Yep, 100% on that. So when you look at this and you look at the marketing and like you said, like it's one of the best looking bottles and things to that nature, what do you think sets them apart, or why do you think they chose what they chose?
Because they put a pull tab on their wax, and I appreciate that.
Wax.
I do appreciate the wax.
Wax is always the answer. I mean,
I don't know. I look at the bottle, and it's easily identifiable on the shelf. Like if you do like one of those ghost tests, and you see like all the bottles next to each other, there's a few out there like your Blantons and a few others they could I easily identify. I think Michter's is one of those. It's just a classy bottle. The wax is on there. It does have wax. It does have a pull tab, but I think it brings it all together. I mean, it's just a classy bottle. It's a good pour.
it's luxury, man.
No, and that's what I was going to say. To me, it just looks like it's fancy. Like it's and fancy like, but really it does. It's just got some fanciness to it. It's durable. It's sturdy. It's got made with heavy, thick duty glass, but it's beautiful. I mean, it's just a good looking bottle.
If we could take a picture of your face when you just did that,
a fancy
that
like
would be priceless.
I hate that song, but sometimes it gets stuck in my damn head because I watch those TikTok videos and those things, that dumb stuff pops up all the time. So I don't know.
I also believe that a lot of people drinking this like the single barrel aspect from it. So they like the fact that it is an age-stated single barrel product that they are paying a luxury price for at this point.
Right. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Fun fact, because I went on the tour this past weekend, Michter's is actually a combination of Michael and Peter, the sons. So Michter's. So fun fact, that's how they got the name.
Michael and Peter.
And it is Michter's, not Michters, not whatever.
Yeah.
It's the hard T there, Michters.
Michter's.
Yep.
Michters.
So just one of those trivia things. So when you look at it, like, oh, now I see Michael and Peter. Oh.
Do we need to wrap this one up, or we keep going on here? I've
No,
got
I think we're
other
pretty
stuff we
good
can talk about.
on this bad boy. I think overall, we have to rate it, right? Like that was the kind of the deal we made when we started this whole process. So on a scale from 1 to 10, where are we going to land this bad boy?
I didn't end up giving a number on the Old Forester barrel strength, did I?
No, you did.
I will tell you this.
You kind of agreed with my 8.5. 8 to 8.5.
See, I think I gotta.
On the
now
barrel
I'm
strength.
tasting
That's
this.
a bold,
I think I
that's
gotta.
a bold pick.
I think I gotta roll it back just a little bit because I know I would right now rather have that than the Old Forester.
I agree,
And
but I wouldn't.
But I'm also on a big, not high proof kick right now.
So for me, that's where I would go with this. Like I still hold steady that I think that Old Forester is 8 to 8.5. Right? I'm gonna give this 8.5 to 9.
I think that might be
I don't think that
the
it's a
thing I
perfect
You
enjoy.
gotta pick one number.
I said
I go
8.75.
I go 8.
Thank you.
I go A minus. So I'll go a 9, which is a 90%. So a 9.
Wow.
But again, this is like my go-to rye. It's probably my favorite rye on the shelf. So, but I've had some phenomenal ryes out there that are not Michter's, but I love it. 9.
I think this might be I'm guessing my favorite thing that I'll taste in this series. That's how I feel right now.
We're going to find out.
Yep.
I agree with Travis on this one. I think this is going to be one of the better ones we try for sure.
So this may be the 10 of the series, but now.
So I didn't rate the barrel proof rye from Old Foe. So
Right.
Yeah,
you missed out on it, Starlight, and we did another one.
The Kentucky Spirit.
Oh, Kentucky. No. Yeah, that's right. Rare breed rye.
So
So-
I'm going to give this guy an 8.2.
8.2. All right.
And that's my starting out. I didn't,
Do you rate between 8 and 9? Is that what you do? 8.4?
we'll see.
Hey, we'll take it. We'll take
I feel like one of those Olympic judges. 8.2. 8.2. 8.4.
8.734, 8944, 87.
We'll eliminate the high and the low, and we'll see what the average is.
What we decided is it's in the 8 to 9 range. That's what we decided on this pour.
Mid-8s, yeah,
Yeah.
easily.
Absolutely.
Buy you a bottle when you see it on the shelf. That's
100.
great.
Do not
100%.
hesitate,
And you can find it on the shelf.
And
Well, hold on.
Secondary's what, $230 to $250?
$400.
Well, no, so that's what I was
Well,
going
yeah,
to preface
I mean-
it by saying secondary's
But
what,
if you have that
$230,
money,
$250?
go right ahead.
It's just money. It grows on trees.
Okay, so retail is 160. I think gift shop maybe 160 to 180.
Right,
Secondary is usually hovering around that 250 range.
right.
So again, like you said, if it's $400, no. Hang on to that 250. You can find it in your store, but occasionally they do have it up at the. You got to get lucky, but occasionally they do have it up at the distillery.
And sometimes you can go to Costco and get it there as well.
That's what I want. I want
I'm
that
just saying.
Costco 140 pot.
No, $129.99 at Costco.
Even the better buy. That's a damn solid buy.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that wraps up this episode of Bourbon Barrel Talk on the 8 Crazy Nights of Rye. If you want to find us, you can find us at bourbonbarreltalk@gmail.com is an easy email address. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and also Facebook. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're on all the major multimedia outlets and all that good stuff. So you can find us through Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pandora, and even Amazon Music. All those different avenues to find us in that situation. Also, don't forget to hook up and look up my boy Travis Hill over here at Teach Bourbon at teachbourbon.com. Is that right, Travis?
Yes, sir. Social media, all that.
Absolutely. We want to make sure we give him a little mini plug for every episode he's on here with us.
Thank you.
So this is Scott, Matt, Nick, and Travis signing off. Peace.